One of the most exciting moments for a parent is watching as their child begins to walk for the very first time. So picture the scene of where a child starts walking and becomes familiar, and first it's just one or two steps, and then over the course of a couple of weeks the child starts really walking. And as the child walks, they're not totally balanced just as of yet, and so they're walking in the living room, and there are two steps at the edge of the living room. And so the parent says to the child, just be careful, don't walk there. Be careful, you can't go over there. Because if you go over there, you're going to fall. And so the child, of course, just keeps on walking around and doesn't listen to the parent and ends up walking over to the steps and ends up falling down the two steps. And the child, of course, is okay, but, the child is crying. And so the parent comes over and hugs the child and says, oh, I told you shouldn't go there. Look what happened. And naturally, we know this child, now learned the lesson. It's going to be more careful when it walks in the living room. But there's no hesitancy on the part of the parent to go over to the child and soothe the child when the child is crying, even though the child didn't listen. This Shabbos is, of course, Shabbos Chazon. It is the saddest Shabbos of the year. It is Erev Tisha B'Av. And on Shabbos day, from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep on Motzai Shabbos, we recite and we see the word Echa 3 times. The first time is when Moshe Rabbeinu recalls the rebellions of the Jewish people toward him. And he says, Echa esal avadi, how is it possible for me to deal with all of this rebelling and all of this complaining? And he's sending a message to the Jewish people, you have to be careful. You can't just act this way and just expect there not to be any consequence to your actions. And then we read in the Haftorah, Yeshayahu Navi, telling the Jewish people, look, Yerushalayim is one way, but because of your actions, he sees as a prophet in prophecy, Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amos, and he prophesizes that Yerushalayim will be destroyed if you keep this up. And then finally, on Motzai Shabbos, on Tisha B'Av itself, we read the words of Yirmiyahu Navi, Echa Yashva Badad, after the fact, whoa, how Yerushalayim sits and it's destroyed. And so Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen explains that here the Jewish people are viewed in 3 different ways. They are told initially by Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to take a look at your behavior. When that's not accepted, and we can compare it to the parent who tells the child, hey, I'm great, I'm so happy that you walk, but just be careful. And then the parent says to the child, you're going to fall if you walk near those steps. That was Yeshayahu Navi telling Jewish people, look, I see, the vision that I see is if you keep this up, you're going to lose Yerushalayim. And ultimately, when the child falls, that's the comparison to Yerushalayim's destruction, and Yirmiyahu Navi saying, Echa Yashva Badad, look what happened. You fell. But says Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen, we should never forget that in all of those steps, the parent was there with the child. And when the child fell, the parent was there to pick the child up. And we should never forget, as we go through these moments on Shabbos, as we experience the Eicha of Moshe Rabbeinu, as we experience the Eicha of Yeshayahu, and we experience the Eicha of Yirmiyahu, we should never forget that even when Yerushalayim is destroyed, even when we fell on the floor, even when we're hurt, the Ribono Shel Olam Hashem is still there to pick us up, to hug us, and to tell us that He still loves us. And that's why the day of Tisha B'Av itself is Kora Alai Moed. It's considered to be a holiday, meaning in the future Tisha B'Av is going to be a day of Simcha, because within Tisha B'Av, within the morning of Tisha B'Av, is the beginning of the comfort that Hashem comforts His people. And as we know, of course, as we're told, that Mashiach is born on the day of Tisha B'Av itself. And that is Kavyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu picking us up and telling us that despite everything, He still loves us. There is a time for mourning, there is a time for reflection, there is a time for sadness. But even during those times, we are reminded Hashem loves us as a parent loves a child. And that love is enduring. In that, we should take comfort. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.